Welcome to As the Dinesens Turn, where we chronicle the adventures of the Dinesen family, a seemingly ordinary family from Iowa who decided, hey, you only live once, so let's move to Portugal. And now your hosts, Jason and Tracy Dinesen.
Welcome to another episode of As the Dinesens Turn. And this time around, we passed our three-year anniversary. We had big plans for doing some special podcasts around that never.
Life just happened. We got busy, we had travel, we had surgeries and commitments, and it was all kinds of things.
But we wanted to talk this time about why we decided not to move back. Because varyingly, we had said 6 months, and another time we said 2 years. And both of those have long since passed at this point, and we're still here. And why?
Well, and I think that it depends on who you ask. I mean, just talking with Jack, he said that he just didn't want to move again. And also, we had no idea where we would move to. We could not agree on where we would move to in the United States because we have very different ideas of where life is and all of these things. And so I think that would be part of it.
I think that it's like a cost-benefit analysis almost. Like you start lining up, well, why would we move back? Well, why not stay and figure it out? This is where life is.
I think that there are a lot of things that I think are very positive here. We have a definite better balance of life. We have more family time. We have more intention around our time. We actually have improved our health because we've got better access to health care, even though we had health insurance. It's actually affordable to do the things that you need to do. There are caps on how much a surgery is or any of those things is a real thing. I would say that I feel safe here. I don't have to question if somebody has a gun or is going to rob or mug you or any of those things. Even as a woman, I feel safer here than I did in the United States and do when we're back in the United States.
Well, the kids didn't remember it this time around when you asked them, but they've brought up safety before.
That was a huge thing for them, that they feel safe at school, that they can actually learn, that they get to be a kid, that kids can be kids here. There are some times that drives them crazy, but I think that's a big thing, that childhood is actually real. I think that's a good thing. I'd say that if our children weren't thriving or doing very, very well, then that would have been something that would have been made the easy decision for us.
There's no doubt that there's a honeymoon period that
hardcore.
we experienced when we first moved here, and then the end of the honeymoon period. So when we talked in the introduction about the 6-month mark, 6 months was hard, that point.
That's when things really became very, very difficult. And then we had just barely gotten through to a year, a little bit more. We thought, well, we're staying for our visa, or let's get through the school year and see how it goes. And that we really were waiting to see. And then things worked out well. So I think that you have to know what your threshold is. But we've also, because we've been able to deal with so many things, I would say the other piece of this is that a lot of the crazy dreams and the things that we really wanted to try, or a lot of the business growth and all of those things, wouldn't have happened in the same way as they've happened here.
I think it's an interesting thought exercise, and it's almost impossible to do, to think about if we had stayed in the US, could we have made the changes that we've made? The changes, of course, would be different in how they manifest, but could we have made changes that brought us to a better headspace like we're in now?
Not in the town and in the life that we had. We would have had to have done something just as drastic as we did. And I'd say that we would have had to have done things very differently. And it would have required a complete upheaval. But I think the biggest things, and we've talked about this before, our why has completely changed. Our why of working was making sure we had health insurance and making sure our kids could go to college. And now we've got both of those things pretty covered in your social systems. And so now your why shifts just to completely other things. And it's now more about what moves me, what feeds my soul, what excites me, what's the thing that I want to do next in that respect. And that I think is huge. That would never have been able to happen, I think, not while we had children. That would have had to been like when the kids have left the nest and they're both done with college, and then we could start thinking about ourselves. And I think that for us, the family time and the closeness and the honest conversations and those things, the reasons, the things that we have now, that's the reason why we didn't want to give those things up, honestly. The pace is very different and the demands are very different. And so I think that we like these demands and this pace better on some level.
And in some ways, I guess we're privileged because.
Oh, absolutely. This comes from privilege.
But we also, I feel like we've made our own privilege in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not easy to just be like, well, just move. I know that's not something that, but sometimes I guess that's the benefit of being married to me, is that sometimes I'm like, well, what the hell? Let's just do it, which shocks people who think they know me and they're like, oh, he would never do something like that. But that actually really is kind of how I am sometimes, where it's like, well, this is ridiculous. So
it needs to be different. So it's going to be different. And,
so
and
let's do
I appreciate that about you, because I am very much that same way. So not everybody can function that way, and I get that.
But I guess where I was going with that is that we've made our own privilege in some ways. We're privileged compared to Portuguese people.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
yeah.
Our income, which is not anywhere near, it's barely average in the United States, but here
it's not even average. But here it's a very strong and a very good income. And I think that it just goes to prove, though, that we need that income to live the kind of life that we are living right now, though, too. Like, it's not like we have extra income to do all of these other things.
Portugal, it's a strange place because, like, the average wage in Portugal is like 1/3 of what it is in the US. But the costs are the same as in the Midwest of the United States. And so it's
in
like,
the day-to-day.
How is this computing? Something doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. And I think that the country very much says that it doesn't add up. But the thing that you don't pay for and the thing that will bankrupt anyone in the US at any moment of time is a health crisis.
We pay, what is it?
We pay $300 a month.
$300 a month for private health insurance. I had fairly major abdominal surgery in April.
You were in the ICU here, and which is just here is very different than the ICU in the US.
It wasn't
it's
like
not the same type of.
I unfortunately have had plenty of experience with ICUs in America. It wasn't anything like that. It was kind of like a hospital room
with a dedicated staff who's right there all.
It was not quite the same.
Right.
But anyway, all that 2 or 3 nights spent in the hospital.
3. Yeah.
It was a 6 or 7 hour surgery, and it was €500.
Because that's the most that it can be for our insurance. Like, there's a threshold. It goes up to this. That's it.
And so we pay $300 or euro, so $350 US a month. And the surgery was like $550 US dollars.
It was more like 657. Like, the exchange rate is one of the
things. The exchange rate isn't
good right now.
But anyway, think of how many tens of thousands of dollars that would be in the United States. And yes, insurance would cover it, but you're paying the $2,500 out of pocket. And that could be the 20%, whatever it is that you pay beyond that.
So I think that the systems, like, even though we've said before, the systems are very different, these systems work for us. We've actually seen that. These systems actually help us be more creative, to help us actually then move things along in a new way to grow our business and new things. And so it's helped us to even gain even more privilege than when we first moved here. We already make more income. Now, of course, everything in the world has gotten much more expensive. And so we need that extra income, thank goodness. But I would say that, yeah, we've been very lucky. And then at the same time, we've worked really hard to get here. And one of the things that we didn't want to give up was the way we've reframed our life.
We worked probably just as much, but it's in a different way.
Yeah.
Because we can. And so we can do together time, we can do errands, we can take care of things that need taken care of, and then work. Plus, I mean, you go to a job a couple days a week and there's a commute with that, but otherwise we work from home, and sometimes I have to work in my office here at home, which kind of stinks, but yet I'm here. And I think that, I don't know, I just feel like the way our days are run are so different compared to what they were in the US.
Yeah, I'd say that this new routine works very well for us, and being able to be there for kid drop off. I can't be there for pickup. There's buses and things like that. Everybody takes 30 of those things because you're working and all of that at the same time. I feel confident in letting my children take public transportation to get home on the buses that run, I think, 3 times a day, morning, lunchtime, and the evening. So I think that that works just fine for us here. But yeah, I didn't want to give up all of the things that we have. We've gained a lot, even though sometimes at the very beginning or in the first year, it was really hard to see what we were gaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's more to say about some of this. We'll talk about in our next episode about like marriage and relationships. And I think that we also need to do an episode at some point about us as, well, I'm on the borderline Gen X millennial. You're Gen X.
I'm a hardcore Gen Xer, yeah.
But kind of rebellion against the stuff that we were told as we were growing up about how life was going to be and
what's life like now. I think there's the people who, no matter where you are, would feel that one. We've had some interesting conversations of late.
So we'll have that. Our next episode will be about like marriage and relationships. Then after that, we'll do life lessons.
Things we've come to accept and question. How's that?
There you go. All right. Join us again next time for another episode.
You've been listening to As the Dinesens Turn, a podcast presented by Dinesen Media Ventures. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and catch us again next time for another episode. Dinesen Media Ventures.